Governor John Connally, who was wounded in the assassination of President Kennedy, has been described in the most recent medical bulletin as satisfactory. Satisfactory is the condition of Texas Governor John Connally. NBC's Richard Valeriani has been at the White House in Washington throughout the afternoon, and we understood that crowds are gathering there. There's a certain feeling of hopelessness that goes with these things, but everyone turns to his neighbor and whoever is near him and tries some way to absorb the full impact of the knowledge. And there's not a great deal that can be done. People around the world are trying to accommodate themselves to what has happened in the United States. Now, as we could see, President Eisenhower a while ago was still wrestling with the enormity of the idea and trying to reconcile it with his basic conviction that Americans are decent people and that they don't do this sort of thing, but it has happened with alarming regularity over the years. So let's go to the White House now in Washington and NBC's Richard Valeriani to see what the situation is there.
The new President of the United States, Lyndon Johnson, is on his way to Washington from Dallas. He is scheduled to land at Andrews Air Force Base in the presidential jet Air Force One in about an hour from now. The body of the late President, John Kennedy, is also aboard the plane. Members of the cabinet are going out to Andrews to meet the new president. Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy is also believed to be aboard the plane. President Johnson, the White House announces, will have a statement to make at the airport on arrival. He will then fly to the White House by helicopter, and after that, his plans are indefinite. The two Kennedy children, Caroline and John Jr., are here at the White House. They have not yet been told of their father's death. They are with a nursemaid, Miss Maud Shaw. Also in the White House is the late president's brother-in-law, Sergeant Shriver, who is making arrangements for the funeral. He is coordinating this with members of the military. Mrs. Shriver, the late president's sister, has flown to Hyannis to be with Ambassador Joseph Kennedy, the president's father. Outside in front of the White House along Pennsylvania Avenue, crowds have been gathering since shortly after confirmation of the president's death. Extra police details have been assigned to the area. They have roped off one side of the street to keep the crowds back. They are keeping pedestrians moving. The crowd is silent, very grim-faced. We saw one student from Georgetown University crying. There was a girl from the Peace Corps who told one of our reporters, Ed Goff of NBC Washington, that I myself am part of the legacy he, President Kennedy, has left for the world. We are also told that, contrary to reports from Dallas, no Secret Service agent was killed in the gunfire. We are also told that Secret Service agents have been assigned to protect the Speaker of the House, John McCormick, who was next in line after President Johnson. This is Richard Valeriani, NBC News at the White House.
Local people flocked to a church in New Ross, Ireland tonight to offer prayers when they heard of the assassination of President Kennedy. The president came to that area of County Wexford in Ireland, the home of his ancestors, in June during his European tour. John V. Kelly, a New Ross auctioneer who met Kennedy at the time, told newsmen the people here are deeply grieved. People heard the news on television and immediately ran to neighbors who did not have sets and